Hello and welcome back to a new video on the channel. This is part 2 on Google Sketchup Semi-Advanced. There's just a few-ish, like a small handful of things I want to show here. This is in continuation of part 1 where I talked about the basics of the interface. Just like Valentina Studio, but in that case I didn't have to do a semi-advanced section. In fact, I don't think I really need to do another one, but if you feel I need to, go and comment on that video. And let's just talk about the semi-advanced in Google Sketchup. So first off, there are a number of things that I want to show you, and that is how to make components or groups, how to use the layering, um, and also the follow me, offset, and scale. So let's just talk about the components real quick. If you want a component in Google Sketchup, the idea, generally speaking, is let's use some of our shortcuts for quick use, right? So let's say we make a weird house, right? Do something like this. Let's say that's our house, right? So we like our house. We want to keep it in the library for continual use. Then you make a component usually, and you say it's my house, and you say it's you can describe it my basic house, right? And you can just say create. The other details won't usually matter majority of the time. And you're done. That's a component. You go to your tray if you want to get your component, and you can just kind of import it into the model. And from here is actually a good point to show you. If you ever want to do a scale, right? So let's say we have, um, come on, let's go to the, trying to make it go to the origin here. Okay. So let's put it to the origin, and because your component's there as well as the original object, that's fine. The scaling will allow you to work with what you want, right? And see, negative 1.0 green scale is what you get when you do this operation. The idea here is really in the fact that you can take the object, make it a component, and make a mirror. And by using the mirror, you can actually do some really nice techniques that you want to make it your, fully desired and accomplished whatever, right? And that's the typical use with scale. The other thing you can do with scale, if you don't already know, you can make it go different ways. You can make it scale up. Okay, so let's say we don't do it there. Say we do this instead. We make it identical almost to that way. Otherwise, you can make it go down. You can make it go upside down like that. And from upside down, you can go even weirder and do a different angle on the upside down. Usually it's not done, but hey, whatever floats your boat, right? And we will just undo a few times. There we go. And we're back, right? And something I should note is even with the scale, you can technically do a larger version, a larger scale on the offset tool. If you don't know what the offset tool is too well, that is fine. Let's go ahead and delete that, and I can show you the offset tool. So the offset tool is how you can kind of create larger things or smaller things, just like I did, right? So if we do a smaller one, usually is where we see problems. How do you deal with that? So if you get something that's smaller that doesn't really work too well, for example, this didn't really work too well, but that's just because it wasn't inside of the object here, the face, right? So that's okay. We don't have to worry about too much there, right? But imagine working with, let's say we worked with this face over here instead. If you do an offset, eventually what's going to happen is you're going to have either lines crossing like this, and you don't want this maybe, or you may get something different and you just don't like it, right? Notice how if we stop here, we have an extra line, right? And if you zoom in close, it really is a line. Sometimes it's more than just a line if you look closer. And if this is what you really desire, usually what you just need to do is erase. And you can do a push-pull until the very end, ello, and you can undo it. And you have a nice hole inside. You can just erase where that line was. Whoa, okay, maybe not. But yeah, that's typically how to deal with the offset, because in the offset, what can happen is just erasing lines to undo, bizarre things that happen, and that's all there is to the offset thing. If you want to make it a little bit more easier to manage, when you have components and all these objects, you can actually create a new layer, right? So to do that, you just need to go to your layers under your default tray. You can hit plus, say it's layer 1 just to make it simple. You can go to layer 1. Okay, so right now we're in layer 1, but if we select the object, we're actually under layer 0. So to move it, you hit layer 1. Okay, now everything's in layer 1. This whole object is now layer 1, right? But we selected a part of it. That's perfectly fine. So what you can do, if you do, basically if you do all of these, and we hit select connected faces, because we don't want to select the edges. That's the big thing. We don't want to select the edges. And let's quickly draw a line there, just in case. Right? So now we have all that. Then what we can do is make those layers 0. And from here, if you're managing a lot of details, what you can do is you can go to this and say, don't make layer 1 visible. Right? If we go to layer 1 and say layer 0 visible, what will happen, what should have happened, okay, this should go to layer 0, right? And notice as I move it to layer 0, okay, notice that it is going away. You don't see it. And that's the thing with managing it, is you can actually control what you see and what you don't see. Alternatively, if you don't want to see certain things, you could do a wireframe if you really want, but it's not too helpful in my opinion, so it's up to you. The last bit here is the offset. You can use the offset pretty frequently whenever you really want to. Yeah, so you can still do deletions. There you go. And if we just do default tray and we make 0 visible, we can see it again. So let's go to layer 0. We are going to play around with this guy, right? What are you doing? Okay, he's not going to work. That's fine. We can always use a new rectangle. So let's say we have a new rectangle, right? And we want to use the follow me. Sometimes the follow me will do some pretty odd things. Right now it's not doing too much odd functionality, right? It's not doing too much until that happens. For this reason, I would highly recommend that if you're going to do something really weird with your designs, and let's say you do something like this, for example, and then you say, oh, well, I don't want that, right? And you erase that. Okay, now what? Well, if you do a follow me this time, it's going to produce something different. It could do that. You can do a lot of different things. So be prepared for what happens when you do certain selections. And that's pretty much the best advice there. Aside from this, follow me is also used to make spheres. If you do a sphere, in order to do a sphere, you just need two circles. And let's make them, we don't have to have it identical, but usually it's a good idea to have identical circles. So the idea with this is you make the follow me go around the circle, and usually I'll give you a full sphere. I hope it didn't make it incomplete. It's a little odd considering it has these two lines there, but usually you're okay. If you want to double check, what you can do is go to wireframe and just see what's going on. I think if you wanted to erase them, I don't think you would have to worry too much. Yeah, I don't think you have to worry too much in this case, and you're done. And you have a sphere. And that's how you do the follow me for spheres. Otherwise, that's pretty much everything for you in the semi-advanced Google Sketchup. If you really like this video, hit the like button. I appreciate any and all support. If you want to stay up to date, hit that subscribe button down below. And otherwise, have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you next time.